Got it. And I know the term consultant tends to vary in definition based on the industry. And I wanted to know two things. One, what is your definition of a consultant? And two, based on your decade of work, what immediate best practices come to mind when it comes to being a consultant? Because what I'm thinking here is, yes, your professional background is very impressive. So far, what you've said is definitely applicable to a lot of the listeners. But if someone wanted to, after listening to this episode, immediately start growing and heading in that direction of being a consultant, what would you tell them is the definition of what they're going to do? And what are some best practices they can take home so they can actually start doing that?
Sure. So I would define a consultant as an outside subject matter expert with the knowledge and experience to help a company move forward with a challenge, with an area of opportunity, an area of growth. They're outside of the company. They're kind of this third party that is there to support and advise and sometimes execute on the advice that they're providing. So that's what I think of a consultant. But like you said, there's many different, it's a broad term in the sense that you can consult on a multitude of subjects and different industries, and you can package and provide services in a lot of different ways. There isn't, one perfect way of doing it. It's what works for you. So for example, I know consultants that go and work for one client full time for like a 3 to 6 month period, and they're on their own, independent consultant, and they go and they're almost like a contract employee in a sense for that period of time. They come in, they really dive into the business. Maybe they work on site. This is pre-COVID world, but they work on site. They work in depth, and they focus on one client at a time. And that's great. And then after they complete the project or the contract is complete, they move on to work on another one client for a period of time. And that's great. That's kind of like a work structure. I'm sure that it's a balance of advising and some execution, because you're so in the weeds of working with that one client. As compared to myself, I've never really done that. I'm certainly open to it. And if, the situation was right and like I could balance my other commitments, I typically work with multiple clients every month. I work on kind of one aspect of their marketing strategy, and then I'm recording a course and writing articles for another client. And that's just kind of my preference, is to, as a consultant, I'm providing my services in a variety of different ways, and I like to work with a couple clients at once. Just kind of the way it works best for me, aligns with my personality. I like to focus on a lot of different areas. So anyways, there's a lot of ways to structure and format being a consultant. You can be an employee at a company and be a consultant at companies like McKinsey and Deloitte, where you work for them and they have clients, and there's a little bit more direction and more specifics as to how everything is structured, because those are large corporations, and you have to follow the guidelines and rules there. So there's a lot of different ways to be a consultant. There's no one right way. The right way is what you're able to succeed at and what makes you happy and fulfilled. How do you start being a consultant? By making sure you have some experience in the subject matter that you're trying to help companies with. So
How many years?
What'd you say?
How many years would you recommend before jumping in?
Yeah, I would say a minimum of 5 years of experience in the field, in this minimum, in the sense of you can't, it's unless you're a savant, a girl or a boy genius,
Which is
you need
rare.
to actually, yes, this is very rare. For most people, you have to have work experience, full-time work as an employee in that industry, in that field. So like most consultants have XYZ amount of experience in their field first. Then afterwards, they might become a consultant full time for a company, or go off on their own and become a consultant. But without that chunk of experience, there's nothing for you to consult on. You don't have any specific value to provide yet. So you need to go get experience in the field. So that means, working at a company, working at a few companies, working on a range of projects, so that you have enough breadth, enough range of experiences to help clients and companies in different scenarios. So that's one consideration, is you need full-time work. You need to be a full-time employee for at least 5 years. Lots of consultants have far more experience